Will, we are at it again. We are live with Mike Stanton from Back to the Bullpen Space City Network. We are here, and you know what? We're going to talk about so much stuff that we need to discuss when it comes to the Houston Astros, this game that should have gone in our favor, but it didn't. You know what? Let's get into it right now.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way, you can't hit it. You know you wanna start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk it back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
Well, and just like that, we are back. A little bit of a rough takeoff, kind of an Astros Houston theme today. Man, you want to talk about things have been rough. Things have been a little crazy. You know, everybody knows where to find me. It's John Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me at Astros411 on X and on Facebook. And you can find the show at Back to the Bullpen on Instagram. Right now, we're live on YouTube. We are live as well. You can find us on X and Spotify and iHeartRadio. Mike, tell the people where they can find you, and then tell us how everything is with you and yours after the storm.
There's only one place you can find me, and that's on X, formerly known as Twitter, and it's Mike Stanton 29, old 29er. That's the only place you can get me. You know what we did? You know, we were blessed. You know, I live in a relatively new neighborhood way up north of the Woodlands, and you know, we have new power grids. I even feel a little guilty about saying this. We were only out of electricity for like 12 hours.
Yeah.
You know, a few trees down, they all fell away from the house. So, you know, there's still people out of electricity. There's still people having problems. So God bless you. And, you know, our thoughts and prayers are with you, but you know, we got through this pretty easy.
Yeah. You know, it is interesting. The myriad of like things that have happened with people as a result of, you know, the hurricane, because it was a Cat 1, and you never know how things are going to affect you. My son and my dog and I, we went to San Antonio. I actually called my family. Y'all want to go with us? And they're like, we're staying. I'm like, well, we are out. We are not standing around. I have seen way too many hurricanes in my day. I'm not doing it. And plus the generator broke. I tried to fix it.
There you go.
I tried to be a responsible citizen and fix it. And the spring broke after I repaired the pulley cord. So you know what? I was like, I'm done. I'm getting a hotel and I'm out of here. So luckily our family has been safe through and through. I know my sister, she actually just got power today. I've talked to some people this morning at Dick's Sporting Goods. There was an autograph signing with Mr. Yordan Alvarez. Mm-hmm. There were people there to get his autograph that still didn't have power. And I'm like, crazy. Man, you guys are dedicated. So, man, what a game today. What, as a fan, a frustrating game, because in the first inning, it's like, oh, wow, is Eovaldi tipping his pitches? I mean, they were just hitting the ball on the button. I mean, you're thinking 5, 6, 7, 8 runs in the first inning, and you walk away with a 1-1 tie in the first inning. When you see things go that way as a former baseball player, do you start thinking, is it too early to think that maybe things won't go your way, or is that just kind of like a sign?
No, you're thinking, okay, this guy doesn't have it today. Yeah, we had him on the ropes. We'll get him on the ropes again. Well, you know, the Astros didn't have any problem getting base runners. You know, they had base runners. And it was just one of those frustrating games. You know, there's an old saying that the good pitchers you have to get early. I'm going to put Eovaldi in that category. Nathan has been a very solid pitcher in his career, and he righted the ship. You know, yeah, there were still some base hits. There were still some scoring chances, but not a whole lot of them.
Right.
The Rangers had just as many, if not more, scoring opportunities, but they only got 3 hits in the game. It was a frustrating game for both sides. Of course, somebody has to win, so somebody's going to be more frustrated than the others. But you know, this was just a really entertaining ball game. And I'll tell you what, Minute Maid Park was absolutely hopping. Over 42,000 people showed up at the game today, and it was weird, man. It was an electric crowd. It was a playoff atmosphere game, especially being as tight as it was, and everybody having scoring opportunities, and you get loud, and and then the air comes out of the so it was really fun. Unfortunately, the Astros they went to extra innings. The Astros are not a great team in extra innings. I think they are now 4-7 this year, which is good for them. In the previous years, they have been even worse. But they weren't able to pull it out at the end. That's okay. They're still playing great baseball.
Yeah, they are. They are. So now technically, I guess they are 1.5. The Angels are actually, it's bottom of third. It's 2-1 right now as we speak. Angels. If the Angels can beat the Mariners, the Astros will still only be one game behind.
Right.
And you've got one more game before the All-Star break for the All-Star week. And if you win that and you get Seattle to lose, you can end up a tie going out of the All-Star
break. Actually, they would be on the top of the list because they would be by percentage points.
That's right. Well, there you go. So they would be percentage points higher, but going into the first series after the All-Star break, you go to Seattle.
That's right.
And
buckle the chin straps, baby.
But so Arrighetti goes out there and Arrighetti goes out there and he has some moments where you're like, okay, he's either getting excited or things are starting to unravel, but he kept his focus. And for me, I know Arrighetti, he's one of the pitchers they're looking at as far as pitch load and workload for the year. But if he can weather these storms now and he has to go into a key moment in the playoffs, you want him battle tested now before you get to postseason, correct?
He was outstanding. Yeah. I mean, and this was a playoff atmosphere type game because, Minute Maid Park was so hopping. It was so loud. There was so much energy. This is really kind of the first time he's been involved in that. And I thought, he handled himself very well. To tell you the truth, giving up the first pitch home run to Marcus Semien might have actually been a little bit of a good thing because it kind of take a little bit of wind out of his sails. But there were a couple times he did a really nice job of controlling those emotions. He threw the ball exceptionally well. One of the things that he came out of his last start, he threw like 102 pitches in 5 innings. He was talking about how he had to be more efficient. He only threw 85 pitches today. He was really good with his pitch efficiency. He mixed it up really nice. The changeup was outstanding. Had 14 swing and misses total, 15 swing and misses total. 5 of those on the changeup, and that's something we even saw him throw it to right-handers. Threw it a couple of them to Adolis Garcia. So that confidence is building in that pitch, and you got to love it. He showed some emotion after getting the third out. Chas McCormick makes a great play in left field. There was a big double play. There was a strike. Yeah. I mean, there was some really nail-biting moments that ended up working out just fine. So this was a big step forward. He pitched pretty well last time out. This time, hey, you got no complaints about what Spencer Arrighetti did today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Arrighetti has really come in and done his job. You've got him. You've got Jake Bloss. We didn't get to talk about him. It's not often that a pitcher skips AAA, starts in the majors, gets injured, and has his first AAA start on a rehab assignment.
Yeah.
Only goes one rehab assignment, comes back and does a fairly decent job. I like what I'm seeing out of these young pitchers. And this is also what is kind of concerning to me, too, is if the Astros don't get a starting pitcher, don't go out there. I know AJ Blueball participated in the Futures game today up at Arlington. Mm-hmm. But Dana Brown's already talked about, we may be bringing up blue ball too. And I'm like, wow, we're relying on a lot of young arms to do a lot. Speak to that, Mike, because you do have veterans in this ball club. Does it help having a veteran presence, or is it just these guys are so young you don't really know what to expect, or do you expect them to have some hiccups along the way if they're counted on down the road?
Well, there's going to be hiccups. There's no way, other than, Skeens there in Pittsburgh, who's the National League starting pitcher, which is incredible because he's been absolutely amazing. But for him to get the bid to start the All-Star game as a rookie that didn't even start in the big leagues at the beginning of the season, other than that, you're expecting hiccups. You expect guys to have a tough time, but you want to see that progress. But the Astros don't really have a choice. I mean, one of the problems they're having with the trade deadline that's coming up is that, what prospects do you have to offer to bring in, a middle of the rotation arm? I don't know how Dana Brown's going to have to work some magic because, you don't have a whole lot of top prospects to bring in a named pitcher. So we'll have to see what they can pull off. But, as of right now, I mean, you look at this whole game. I mean, look at the guys that came in. You had King. You had Seth Martinez.
Yeah.
Taylor Scott's been outstanding. But you got to remember, that was the last dude to make the big league roster. That was number 26 coming out of spring training. And those were the guys that the Astros were relying on. Spencer Arrighetti, did anybody even know his name in spring training? Probably not very many. So, I mean,
Unless
the Astros have really
systems, you really didn't know who Arrighetti was.
And you didn't expect him to be ready for the big leagues. And I think when he got called up, he probably wasn't quite ready.
Right.
But he hasn't been overwhelmed. He's done a nice job of controlling his emotions. He's done a nice job of controlling the big inning because that's really what was bothering him earlier in the season and the start of his career. So it's been fun to watch these guys, but when you're a competitive club, it doesn't matter whether you have 1 day at the big leagues or you have 10 years in the big leagues. You're expected to perform. And the Astros the organization has done a great job over the years of getting whether they're a top prospect or not, getting these dudes ready so when they get called up, they're not overwhelmed. They can come in and perform and they can help the Astros win baseball games.
That's right. And you know what? If you need help performing, whether you are going to the movies, going to an Astros game, or on a first date or to church, and you want to grab a back to the bullpen shirt, why not? Look, Mike saw one of our big fans, Mr. Gonzalez.
I did. I saw him twice today. Talked to him twice.
He had his back to the bullpen shirt on, I believe.
He did.
And you were
I think he wore it yesterday. He wore it
yesterday. Okay, yesterday. But you were wearing the black Space City shirt. That was a sharp polo, by the way.
Yeah.
Looking pretty suave there, looking professional. But look, go to Ram Shirts. It's not, I mean, I want you to purchase our shirt, but there's other options. They've got other shirts. They've got some cool stuff. Reach out to Mark. He does a great job. He does promotional items. I'm sure he'll talk to you about that. And if you need to get your hair cut, look, I mean, this storm has been crazy. You probably have not taken time to take care of you. Now that things have settled down, come to Friendswood, go to state-of-the-art barbershop, 1616 South Friendswood Drive. Go tell Ever Cruz that the guys at Back to the Bullpen sent you. You get 10% off your haircut there. They will treat you right. They've got several different barbers to choose from. And look, you can, I mean, just do it. Give them a call. Go to their store and sign up today. But, we are coming to y'all live from the Ramsford Studios. And tonight we're live. We got 140 people watching us tonight, Mike. This is a record.
Welcome, everyone. Yeah,
we have hit 505 subscribers. Thank y'all so much. You guys and girls really, really help building this channel. You talk about the bullpen, and this is a game where if your offense isn't performing, the bullpen can kind of unravel a little bit. You do on the other side. You do have a lot of guys having down years compared to what they had last year in the Rangers, but you have dangerous hitters like Garcia. Jonah Heim has the ability to pop a ball out of the ballpark. And Minute Maid Park, we know, is not exactly a large stadium or difficult to hit out of.
Corey Seager, who homered last night.
And
he should have been the AL MVP last year. It shouldn't have been. It was his numbers were amazing, and then he went off.
His numbers this year, Mike, are actually really good.
They're good. They're not what they were last year. Last year, no. I mean, he was out of his mind.
No, yeah, but he's still got a lot more red than he does blue. He doesn't chase a lot. He doesn't whiff a lot. But he's got a 24 or 25 game hitting streak now, or 24 game hitting streak at Minute Maid Park. This is an Astros killer. This is the guy you don't want to face. This is our current day Albert Pujols. And then Jose Altuve. The other night when he hit that home run, the night before, why would you throw him a changeup when the guy's got 6 hits out, off you, all extra base hits and 7 at bats? Who called that changeup? So, but the bullpen held it together, and
they did. They did. And listen, was it pretty? No. I mean, there were 9 walks. The bullpen had 6 of those because Arrighetti had 3, gave up 2 hits. So he had 5 base runners in his 6 innings. But you know what? You only gave up 3 hits. And, the Texas Rangers went 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position and left 11 on. And the one was low in the 10th inning, the hit that actually winning the game. So had a lot of walks, but they were able to put up the zeros that they needed to put up.
And the Astros pitchers allowed the Rangers to load the bases 3 innings in a row, and they didn't score a run.
Yeah.
That has got to be, and those I think are what you would call stressful innings. Sometimes they talk about workload, right? A guy goes in and can throw 9 pitches, immaculate inning, no stress. You can go in and throw 30 pitches, guys are fouling it off, but stress innings is like, you got guys on second and third lurking. I mean, all it takes is one little ball over the shortstop, a run scores, opens up the game. And so
the reason we call them stress pitches is because you're having to bear down. So a pitching coach would actually, when I'm talking to a pitcher and he has a stressful inning like that, I almost look at each pitch as being a pitch and a half. So if you throw 10 stressful pitches, it's actually 15 pitches. And that just shows, you're cranking on the breaking ball a little bit harder. You're concentrating a little bit harder. You're just, you're trying to get out of that trouble. And that has more of a toll on your arm and on your body just because of what we're calling stress.
Exactly. And let's go to the other side, because Nathan Eovaldi, he came out, and, the kid from Alvin is, he came out and he looked shaky at first. He gave up 8 hits.
Yeah, but he threw 24 pitches in the first inning. You're like, all right, you're going to get an 8. Well, maybe not.
7 strikeouts, no walks for him, only 1 earned run in 8 innings. I mean, 8 hits, 7 innings pitched. He didn't get the win, but still, that's a quality outing. And
most definitely
just held the Astros at bay. And you're like, okay, maybe if the Astros can get to the bullpen of the Rangers, just maybe. And they didn't. And Mike, I want to talk.
Well, things were a little different in this game. The Astros, there were some guys that they were trying to stay away from the leverage guys. That's why you saw King, Seth Martinez, Sean Dubin, whose last 2 outings were starts, and then Taylor Scott. As good as Taylor Scott's been, is still a guy that in spring training you weren't counting on.
Exactly.
But you got to the Rangers got to come with their ace arms out of the bullpen. I mean, and Kirby Yates, by the way, people don't know anything about Kirby Yates. He's back. Now, you have to go back a few years, but this dude was the best closer in baseball back when he was with San Diego. Had an arm injury. It's taken him a while to get back. But he's got a 0.81, a 0.81 ERA, and he got the save today with a strikeout in 5 pitches. He only threw 5 pitches. His split finger fastball is filthy. David Robertson pitched 2 innings, pitched the 8th and 9th, and then Kirby came in the 10th. But the bullpens were set up a little bit different. Bottom line is it was still a 1-1 game going into the 10th.
When I saw you recalling all that, as I've been watching him get exuberant and get excited on the mound and be pumped, I'm like, I completely forgot how good this guy was.
Filthy.
And but see, that's the thing with the closer is the closer role is so specialized. I mean, you have guys like Papelbon who, has, I'm sorry, not Papelbon, Craig Kimbrell, who's actually pitching really well this year. I mean, he's been kind of mid and kind of up and down.
Yeah.
I think it's harder as a closer to sustain your success over a longer period of time than it is a relief pitcher. And I mean,
I don't know if I'm going to agree with you, because usually if you're a closer, that means you're established. That means you've been there. And when Mariano Rivera walks out on the mound,
I mean,
at the end of his career, he's throwing 90 miles an hour. Now he's still got
That's
the cut. He's
Okay.
still got the impeccable command, but it's almost like he steps on the mound and there's already one out just because Mo is out there.
Right.
And with the way Kirby Yates is throwing the baseball right now, and the way, the way Josh Hader threw the ball last night,
Yeah.
you come in, the opposing team, oh man, are you kidding? This dude's coming in. That's worth the price of admission. It doesn't even matter how good his stuff is on any given day. So relievers, they're a little different just simply because there's a lot of times those are the most stressful outs are coming from your leverage relievers, the guys that are pitching the 7th and 8th inning. Yeah, the closer gets the 9th, they get the saves, but a lot of times the game is actually saved earlier in the game, and where just a blooper, you lose the baseball game, and whereas a closer is usually coming in and has an inning, a clean inning.
Yes, right, and I think maybe you know what. I'm not going to argue.
Hey, you can have your opinion. I mean, it's wrong, but you can have your opinion.
I love it. So, okay. So I guess this is where I was going with it. Okay. Because you see, I mean, today's closers throw so hard.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your guys, and I think we all know Eric Gagne didn't really have a long career. There might have been some things that kind of aided that shortening of his career, but it just seems to me like someone like yourself, the Jesse Orozco's, the guys that were the established bullpen guys. I guess what I'm saying is, we saw Brad Lidge be completely dominant here, and then he had that one home run where he just I just don't think he could pitch Minute Maid Park after that. Right. He went to Philly, won a World Series with the Philly.
Had a perfect season.
Had a great season.
Did not blow a save all the way through the World Series. Yeah.
And so to me, that closer role is so specialized, and you don't see as many, I guess maybe because there's more relievers. There's fewer closers, but I guess that makes sense. Yeah. You know what? I was wrong. I'm sitting here trying to do some mental gymnastics going, how can I explain? Nope. Yeah, you're right. You know what? I get it. This is the guy with the trophies. Hey, you don't just have baseball trophies. You have horse trophies.
Yeah, I've got horse. Yeah, I was in the horse business. Show horses, Arabian, half Arabian, national show horse, which those are all breeds. Yeah, my wife and I were in that for quite a while. Got a couple national champions.
Nice.
And that's what this is. So I spent a whole lot of money to get these trophies. So that's why we're displaying them.
So, hey, we're going to talk about this, and then I want to get to some real history of the Orioles and the Yankees rivalry. Susan Townsend, who has become one of our faithful listeners, she wants to know, what do you think about Aledmus Diaz being signed to a minor league contract for the Astros?
Listen, Aledmus, when he was on the field, was productive. Whether it was offensively, defensively, he was good. It's a depth move. I mean, the biggest problem Diaz had was just staying healthy.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you have a spot? Well, you may have a spot on the bench for him, and all that's going to do is that'll give you another quality of bat off the bench. That will give you another quality defensive player if you need to start moving players around. Okay. I mean, but we know the dude can play. We know he can play, but he's just got to be able to stay off the IL.
Well, someone DM me today. They're like, "This is not the Astros' big move, is it?" I'm like, "No, calm down. This is a smart, cost-effective move. That if for some reason you need him, you could drop a Kessinger down to AAA, bring up Diaz if he's hitting well.
I will say this: I do think Mauricio Dubon is better, especially defensively. Defensively, Mauricio can play anywhere, and he is above average in every place, and a couple of them he's even higher than above average. Offensively, to tell you the truth, I like Mauricio's at bats also. Diaz probably has a little more power, but hey, is there room for both of them? Possibly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got room for guys like Kessinger, who's not really doing much on, he's
that's the spot you're talking about, because why is Kessinger there? He's the second utility guy.
Right. And, someone's like, well, what if they're thinking about trading Dubon and they have Diaz? I'm like, I really don't see, because if you're going to make a playoff run, Dubon has to be it.
He did get kicked out of the game today, though.
Oh, that will got kicked out of the game too, Mike. That was egregious. That was,
what he was upset about was the home plate umpire was the one that kicked him out of the game, but he had the beef with the first base umpire.
Yeah.
and there were four reviews today that were overturned. Yeah. Now the one with Mauricio there late in the game, I mean, that could not have been any closer of a play. So you kind of have to what was the guy's that Carlos Torres was the first base umpire. A couple of them you're like, okay, but thank goodness you had you had instant replay, because I think you had 4 overturned calls, which is kind of rare.
That is. So let's talk about this. So I took a little 18-minute dive into this Yankees versus Orioles rivalry. And I wanted to get your take on it, because you actually played in this Yankees versus Orioles rivalry. I chronicled Aaron Judge getting hit in June on the hand in the Bronx. Then I chronicled what happened 2 nights ago, where the Orioles manager just completely defended his dude.
Sure.
Brandon Hyde was ready to fight somebody.
He was ready. He was hot.
Because, dude, man, Kerstead just got drilled in the helmet. It looked bad. I can't. It gives me goosebumps to talk about it. Tell me, you told me that 1998 there was quite a brawl between the Yankees.
Yeah, you have to remember. You go back to the last dynasty, and the last dynasty is the Yankees, who won 3 World Series in a row, went to 5 out of 6 or something crazy like that. And our biggest rivalry when you got into the late 90s and early 2000s was the Red Sox. They had Big Poppy, you had Josh Beckett, you had all these, so you had Pedro Martinez was at the best, possibly the best pitcher I've ever seen when he was a Red Sox, just absolutely filthy. Couldn't really beat us, but we would beat him 2-1, 1-0.
Wow.
But that wasn't the rivalry when this started. Was in 1996, 1997, 1998. You look back at those teams, you say, well, the Yankees were the highest payroll. No, they weren't. The highest payroll was the Baltimore Orioles.
Wow.
And, they were good for a couple years there, and we had a real rivalry, and they had a closer by the name of Armando Benitez. And Armando was about 3 sheets crazy. He wasn't all there. I ended up playing with Armando with the Mets a few years later. And a lot of times if you hit him hard, something would disconnect and he's going to hit the next guy. And that's what happened.
Wow.
So it's a save opportunity late in the game. And who was it? Bernie Williams.
Wow.
Hits a 3-run home run, upper deck in Yankee Stadium, crushes a slider, and Armando loses it. Well, the next hitter, unfortunately for Tino, was Tino Martinez. Well, he didn't do anything, and he wears about a 98-mile-an-hour fastball right in between the 2 and 4. His number is 24.
Oh.
And then Armando actually tosses his glove aside, puts his hands up, and he calls out our bullpen. Our bench. He says, come on, if you want to get some, come and get it.
Wow.
And this brawl ended up lasting for a good 6 or 7 minutes.
Wow.
It went from on the field, it went into the visiting dugout. There were many, many, many punches thrown. It was crazy.
Mike,
was really
how many
crazy.
punches did you get in there?
I didn't throw. Well, there was one I threw, but there was another one. As soon as I kind of fell, and then I stood up. And when I stood up, somebody grabbed me from behind. Mm-hmm. And it was Chris Hoyles. Well, I didn't know at the time. Now all of a sudden, my motor's going. And I get him off of me, and then as soon as I get him off of me, somebody else grabs me.
Wow!
And it's a guy, and he was holding his hands in front of me like this, and I'm like, okay, I'm ripping the finger off. I grabbed the next finger, and I went to go like this. And then I recognized the voice, and the voice was in my ear, and he's like, Mike, man, just calm down. Just calm down. It was Doug Drabeck.
Wow.
Yeah, and I knew Doug back from his Pittsburgh days when I was with Atlanta, so that just immediately kind of got me back under control.
Wow, there you go.
But yeah, so I was actually pitching. When the brawl happened, I was on the bench. We were in between innings, and then I had to figure out a way to go back out there after all that adrenaline burst and still get hitters out.
So Mike's like, who do I hit next?
well, at that time, everybody was warned. Everybody was thrown out.
Okay,
it was pretty man. You can actually find it. Go to YouTube, and you can look up, Yankees, Orioles. I think it was in '98 brawl, and it'll come up. And
definitely.
Yeah. There's a second part. I know we're getting long here. There's a second part to this story. A few weeks later, that was in Yankee Stadium. A few weeks later, we go to Baltimore. Well, they don't tell anybody, but there were warnings at the beginning of the game. So before the series even started, both sides were warned, and kind of the same situation. Now you got to remember, Armando Benitez was right-handed. Tino Martinez was left-handed. So he threw the ball all the way across his body to hit Tino.
Yeah, that's a huge, that's
a big miss. That's a big miss.
Right.
So I give up a home run out to Utah Street to Rafael Palmeiro. I hang the slider, and he just freaking destroys it. Well, the next hitter was one of the poster children of baseball back then, and it was Eric Davis. Eric Davis had the spleen. He had all these freak accidents and everything, but he was still a player. Well, the book on Eric was you got to pitch him inside. Guess what? I plant the next pitch right in between the 2 and the 4. He was 24 also. On the first pitch, and John Hirschbeck, I really liked John, he throws me out of the game.
Right.
And he goes, nope. I said, John, I was just trying to get the ball inside. Nope, not on the first pitch. You got to go. Joe Torre comes out. He argues with John. So I'm on the field for a couple minutes.
Wow.
And as I start walking off, now their bench never even gets up. Right. They never even yell. They don't do anything. There's no bench clearing. And that's what they were trying to avoid. So I'm walking back to the third base dugout, and I see a group of people up against the wall, like behind our on deck circle on our side. And I'm like, didn't really think anything of it. Got a little bit closer. I'm like, hold on, that's like the Orioles trainer, and maybe the manager is over there. And then I see they're hovering over somebody, and it's Eric Davis. Now he's on our side behind our on deck circle, and I'm walking down, and it's like they're hovering. He's still on the ground. This is minutes later. And like I said, I put the ball right in the center of his back, just like Armando did to Tino.
Right.
To this day, I will claim I did not do it on purpose. I did take a lie detector's test to prove it. I still got a 5-game suspension. The funny thing about this, though, so I'm going, oh my God, I just killed Eric Davis. And so I walk in, I go into the clubhouse. Like an hour later, I call him. I call the home side, and I say, "Hey, this is Mike Stanton. Can I speak to Eric?" Yeah, hold on a second. They take the phone to Eric, and dude, he still sounded like he was on his deathbed. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really hurt this dude. And of course, Eric Davis at the time, like I said, he was one of the faces of Major League Baseball because of all the injuries he had gone through and everything like that. And I'm like, I'm baseball's bad boy now. I just killed Eric Davis. Luckily, he wasn't really hurt. He was okay, but I ended up getting 5-game suspension for that.
Wow.
5, count them, 5.
Man. I didn't know that you were such a renegade, Mike.
That was like the only, let's see, I got thrown out one other time in my career. That was the only times I ever got thrown out.
Wow. That's, that is a great story.
But I was not going to leave that ball out over the plate and, just pulled it a little bit too far. And I didn't call out their dugout like I'm
right. Well, I'll save my getting thrown out of a Little League game story for next show because I don't.
Oh, that's good. I don't want to riveting.
So we'll just let the anticipation build. But hey, man, this has been a great show. Thanks for joining me. I know you've been working behind the desk there at Space City this week, and
got tomorrow's game too, and then the All-Star break.
That's right, man. We got one more game. Let's get the victory.
So Mike, what is Seattle doing right now? What's the score?
It was 3. It was 3. It was third inning. Seattle was losing. Let's see. I got
They're still losing in the bottom of the fifth, 2-1.
2-1.
So the Angels are in the bottom of the fifth. So
Yeah,
if they
Angels,
just let people know,
Angels
if the Angels beat the Mariners, the Astros are still 1 game back, and they have a chance to be tied, actually be ahead in percentage points.
That's right.
If the Astros can win tomorrow and the Mariners lose tomorrow, but they also need to lose today to remain 1 game back.
That's right. So let's pray. Dear Lord.
Hey, you know what? They have already overachieved what they, if you remember, it wasn't just a couple weeks ago. Joe Espada was talking about, hey, let's just get above 500 by the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Well, they're well above 500, 5 games over now,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
1.5 game back as we speak in the division. So they're right where they want to be.
Right where they want to be, and it's going to be an exciting game. You got the All-Star game this weekend. Jordan Alvarez, I believe, is going to be there. Tucker's not playing. Tucker's going to stay back. He's going to obviously he can't play. He's not playing right now. Altuve's staying back. But it should be a fun week. The All-Star game festivities started. You got the draft. You've got home run derby and all that stuff. But hey, stay tuned because who knows? We may show up All-Star weekend and talk about something. We may find something to talk about. But seriously, reach out to Mike. Got questions? I promise you, he would love to answer any questions you got. The dude knows more about baseball than I'll ever forget. So for myself, for Mike, for all of us here, and coming to you live from the Ramshort Studios, and thank y'all, all 283 joining us live.
Nice.
Hit those like buttons, hit those subscribe buttons. We get to
tell your friends.
Yes, tell everybody. We want to get to 1,000 subscribers.
He's impressed with 500. I'm not.
Yeah,
you got to get that number up.
That's right. I love it. I love it. That's why I brought you on, because winning. So thank you so much, Mike. Again, y'all have a good one. God bless. We'll see y'all tomorrow, and go Stros.
Adios.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way you can't hit it. You know you wanna start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you